And good morning. Welcome to a Sports Talk for Saturday morning. We're here. Neither rain nor snow nor sleet or anything keeps a postman or an old radio guy from doing his show, and now we're here this morning. So,
Well, how come you didn't put the hail in there?
well, what the hell? I don't know.
I
Sorry
apologize.
about that.
I apologize.
Anyway, we did some soul searching on whether to do this morning. We started working on it yesterday afternoon. Rachel and I back and forth, and we called Darren, who's with us this morning, and David Heineman is bringing golf people in, and I also told Andy Kenny, who's going to be stopping in this morning and talk about the Hall of Fame here at the Phillipsburg High School. And this morning at 7 o'clock, the phone rings, and it's Darren, and Darren says, "It's still on?" I said, "Do you feel comfortable?" And he said, "Yeah." So Darren's here, and then I called David, and they'll be here, and Andy, so everything's right. I don't think we got as much snow here as they anticipated. You got more over there east, you think?
I thought maybe a little bit, yeah. Of course, depends on which side of the building you're standing
Yeah,
on.
right, that's for sure.
But I do think we got a little bit more than what you guys may have gotten.
And
Yeah, he's one of those people. They always have a little bit
That's,
more.
that's right. That's exactly
That's the way it
right.
is in sports. He's
So-
got just a little more.
and it's funny. Usually when I get dinner at around 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, this place is pretty full. Well, I was the first. I was the only one in there this morning. There's a few more have come in now, but I don't think, they say not to get out. And the good news is the prom in Phillipsburg is on as scheduled, right, Rachel? Everything's the same as scheduled. So you can get your hair done this morning if you're out there, a young lady.
The walkthrough will be in the gym.
The what?
The walkthrough.
The walkthrough in the gym, as we talked about, the red carpet walkthrough, and you can go out and watch. I can remember long before they had the walk-in, where they would go to the prom. All the mothers would go out and park in their cars and watch them come up, drive up. And do you remember that, Rachel? How that worked? Okay, so
They used to put up bleachers out there at the high school.
right, yeah, they used to, and they announced it as they would come in and everything, kind of like the Academy Award things. Okay.
Wow. You- that'd be pretty special. Back in our days, we was lucky to even have one.
Well, back in my days, I didn't ever go. I never went to the prom. Did you? No, I'm serious. All 4 years at Garden City, and I told this on Thursday morning. A bunch of us boys would get together and go to the carnival over in Dodge City. We'd drive over there on prom night.
Well, we'd go to the prom, but the guys get
No,
together
we
and
don't-
stand around and talk.
Well, no.
And that was not it.
I was too. Girls scared me because I was afraid I'd get turned down. So that's why I didn't want to. Which I would have got. I would have got turned down. Here comes Tad. Just do your thing.
If they just only knew that.
Were you a big prom guy? Did you like prom?
I went my first 3 years, and then my senior year, I went to the KU Relays instead.
Okay.
And that was the first year we had post-prom.
Sure.
So I went to that.
No,
and
no, they didn't have post prom. And I think that's a great idea for the post prom thing to have more. If they'd had that, we probably would have gone to the carnival, didn't come back and go to the post prom. But like I said, we always would come back the night of the prom. That's when we painted the water tower at Garden City. Garden City, but every year a huge water tower right there. I don't know how by Garden City, right there, the old Penrose Stadium, the old football stadium, the big water tower, and it go. Now, don't get any ideas out there. Don't do that.
We have two nice young men sitting down there.
No, don't
Think
do
of
that.
the
Don't paint the
ideas
water
we're giving
tower.
them.
No,
we think.
no, because that's a criminal offense. Between the junior and senior year, I'll tell this story because my son, on a Saturday night, on a Friday night, I said, "What are you doing in the summertime?" And he said, "Oh, we're going to have some other guys." So the next day, Saturday, Leroy Stephen was sheriff. And I said, and I saw him downtown Saturday. And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I don't know. Someone painted the water tower last night. We caught a couple of them. So my son was one of them. They had to go to court, and they had to pay. Well, the judge at that time said, "Okay, you have to go up and paint over it." Well, what's the liability on something like that? So they never had to do that, though. But they had to go to court, and
So who did he learn that from?
oh, well, he didn't learn from me because the year before at Mount Dome, Idaho, when he was out there, we were out there. He stayed. We came back in April, March or April, and moved back here. He wanted to finish out the year there, so he came. He stayed out there with some friends, and then he came back. And the night before he left, he and another guy painted the water tower out there in Mountain Home, Idaho too. He's a hardened criminal there. You know.
You know, you guys don't really realize the experiences I had, the stories I heard traveling with Tad all that time. I mean, tell you what, well, when he stay awake anyway.
Well, I stay awake when I was on the side. Now, when I drove, I didn't stay very awake. You know. Think about that. Anyway, no, he would always drive us home.
Yeah, he slept better behind the wheel than he did over the passenger
Okay.
side.
Might be
Anyway,
right.
okay. Do you have anything you want to? Any confession you want to make this morning? I made for my son about the water tower thing, but don't paint the water tower for several reasons.
No, I don't.
Safe one.
I don't remember ever getting in any trouble or doing anything.
Okay, well that's what trouble I got in.
I almost believe you.
Anyway, let's talk about sports. Darren Grauerholz is with us this morning. We'll be talking to David Heineman. He's going to bring a couple of golfers in, and also Andy, as we mentioned. And I called Darren yesterday to see what he was feeling, and that was yesterday afternoon. And he was at a track meet, right? Track and
Yep,
field
we
meet
were.
in Beloit.
Yeah, we had the Beloit St. John's meet, so it had got postponed already once to yesterday. The problem was it was scheduled the same date as the Hill City meet then.
Yeah.
Of course, Hill City postponed their meet on Wednesday already,
Yeah.
or Wednesday or Thursday. But anyway, so told the kids, and one of the girls says, "Well, let's go to Beloit then." And I kind of forgot about it because they were overlapped. So I said, "Yeah, let's get into it." And then I had to call Marcy Keys down there at Beloit, and then she had to get us open registration again on Direct Athletics so we could register the athletes. Got all that done, and beautiful day. I mean, it worked out great. The weather was very good. It got a little bit chilly there towards the end. I think they'll probably
Was it
agree
windy
with me.
yet down there? Was it windy?
Yeah, it's pretty windy.
Okay, and how many schools were there?
There were at least 10 there that I can remember. I know some of them didn't come back,
Sure,
because they had
right,
other
yeah.
conflicts, but it was a good track meet. It was a good one for us. I know some of them were at the pre-state meet, I think at Wichita, I think was what I heard.
No.
But no, there was some nice competition, and we need those meets just to get the experience, just like in any sporting event.
Speaking of track meets and how things have changed over the years, I went out here and watched the junior high track meet with buses from Colby and everywhere else. And man, I'll tell you what, some of them eighth graders are fast.
Yes, they are.
They run. It's unreal.
Yep.
Okay, so how many have out boys and girls there?
25, I think,
Okay.
boys and girls, and then one of them's Kaylee Painter, which she'll be eligible the 23rd. She transferred from Smith Center,
Okay.
so she'll be ready to go here in about a week or two. So
How does that work? It's not a. Can you transfer and be on usually an 18-week thing? You know.
yeah, she had to sit out her 18 weeks.
Okay.
So she came over after volleyball, right before basketball.
All right. Okay.
Was that a recruiting thing?
Absolutely not.
Just, you don't learn
That's
if
a
you
good
don't ask.
answer.
I think in her best interest, I think for her it was a good fit for her to change the scenery, just for some of the things that she was experiencing. So I'm glad she's here. I think she's going to help us out in basketball. Maybe not next year, but the year after that. She really come a long ways. She hadn't played basketball since I think 7th grade or 8th grade, so. She's gonna be a good asset for us, and she's a nice runner. So.
Okay, how are things going? So how many meets have you gone to, and how have you done so far?
Well, we had the Redmond Relays,
Yeah.
which turned out okay. Had some good performances. Had a couple school records broke, but of course our records are only 10 years old. And then we had the Beloit St. John's meets where we had a lot of personal records broke as well. So
That's what you look for too, isn't it?
sure, just improvement.
At the Redmond Relays, did you have the Nebraska teams that always come
Yes,
down and always
they
do
are
well? They
central.
always do well.
Oh,
don't they?
my.
What is it?
Absolutely, Thayer Central.
Yeah, they always
Amazing,
do.
amazing track club.
Yeah, great program there. So, any outstanding times or distances you can think of that you've done so far? So you've had 2 meets then?
2 meets.
Okay.
No, nothing that really jumps out at me. I think there's a few of them that are going to continue to get better. But yeah, overall, nothing really that's really outstanding right now. So,
So you
and
mentioned
it's
10 years because it used to be Kansas. Now
Right.
you have new school records at Thunder Ridge, right?
that is correct.
Okay, that's
We
what
didn't
you
keep
got.
any of the old records, so. But yeah, that's it's good for those kids
Sure.
because there were some of those records that were probably going to be a little bit untouchable, and the interesting thing is we do have some now that we call untouchable.
Sure.
So it's going to be a real big challenge for somebody if they do intend to break some of those records.
And when they went from the inches and feet and yards to the metric, that changed
Yes.
all your records too and everything
Yeah,
too. Then,
yeah, sure did.
And then in my backhoe thing, the steel pole, well, they had a cane pole too. But, no bend or anything like that. But you watch these kids now with these glass poles, wing, they just throw them over. I'd
That
be
had to
afraid
be-
to try that.
That had to be bone jarring for a steel pole.
It was. I
Well,
mean,
they had-
sometimes you'd run up there and kind of plant it, then climb up a little bit and jump over.
Really?
It's just-
Wow.
Just about.
Well, they had a bamboo when I was in school, bamboo poles, and that was very
yeah.
dangerous because you'd get up there sometimes. It happened at one of the area schools. It's kind of you pole vault, you get up there and the brakes, and the athlete came down. He was impaled by the bottom part
Yeah.
of that. A terrible thing when
Yep.
when they got rid of that bamboo pole. And but it didn't bend or anything. It was just there. So what meets you have coming up then? there?
We'll have the Osborne meet coming up next Friday, so that's always a big meet for us. They resurfaced their track, so they'll be nice and fresh for us.
That's a good track down there, and a
Yeah.
good place to.
And they always have some nice competition for us as well. Get some Western schools, Southern schools, so that's always a nice meet.
What's the league look like?
There's some great athletes in our league, both men and women. So it's a good competition, and of course with our league being 12 deep now,
Wow.
that's a lot of fun. So and back in the day when we were dissolving of the Cheyenne Conference, it was 6 teams left. That's just not much for a track meet. You just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't really get the good feel of it.
So you like seeing outside the competition,
Oh, yeah,
you'll
you
see all the time.
Right, because I was telling these guys today, regional track meet's the biggest meet of the year. It's not the state meet; it's getting there is the hard part.
Same as the sub-state, that's a big thing.
Yeah,
Is,
that's right.
and basketball, that type of thing. So where's your regional going to be?
We get to go to Colby this year.
Okay.
Haven't been there before. Brandon played Little League football out there back with the Phillipsburg Cowboys.
Okay.
So that was the last time I'd been anywhere close to that track. So that's where
I was trying to
we're
think.
headed.
I'm trying to think what is in Colby. Is it down by the high school?
It's out on 24.
Yeah,
football-
almost as you're going out of town.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah, I know where it is because I just the football games. You go on west where you come into town, you turn and go south I-70, you keep
Right.
going west on Old 24, I think.
Correct. Yeah.
Maybe they still call it 24, the old highway to south. Yeah, okay. We did some football games there. And that goes back ways also.
We
Okay.
even officiated out there, and I'll tell a story. My football coach, when I was here and playing and stuff, he got to where he was coaching, and the other Hayes, and went out there to Colby to do a game, and I just kind of stood behind the other guys, and they walked out, and hi Tom, hi Tom, hi Tom, and he turned and he looked at me and said, "What in the world do you think you're doing out here?" I said, "Well, you didn't teach me very well." But no, yeah, but had a good time.
Okay. So, has this been a typical weather year? It seems like you've had a little more hot and cold, hot, cold,
Yeah.
hot, cold, like a roller coaster thing.
Last year was kind of this way too, and it wasn't too many years ago. I remember our first track meet was right at the end of March, and it was 100 degrees at the track meet.
Wow, yeah.
So, you get all types of weather this time of year, and you just don't know what it's going to be like from day to day. So, when you're out training for it during practice, it's nice to have these good days and bad days just so you know what it's going to feel like. But when it is this cold, we're always concerned about boo-boos because track season's so short. You just can't afford to have them. So we got to be kind of careful with the athletes and make sure we're doing the right things.
Okay, who'd you bring this morning?
Well-
Brandon and Cameron?
Yeah, because of the weather, I thought maybe we better not send too many out and about. So the ones I was going to bring were all about 14 miles from town. So
Okay.
since these guys live with me, I thought I'd just bring these guys over. And
Well,
You two have to live with him?
nobody said life was easy.
has he ever told you the story about the field goal?
No.
Oh, that's in a history book somewhere.
He kicked a field goal one time. The wind, the train was going through south end of the football field. There, I was doing the ball game, and I think it was a playoff game, wasn't it?
It may have been, but I'm not sure about that. But
Anyway, he was a field goal kicker, and he kicked it into the train. I think it hit the box car, didn't it? As the train was going through, hit the box car and came back out. And we always talked that door had been open and had gone in, and had gone all the way to New York to be the longest field goal on record. So anyway, I had to tell it. So okay, what do you do in track?
I do the 400 and the 4x4.
Okay, what's your favorite?
The 400.
You like 400?
Yeah.
You know, that used to be kind of a run, but it's a dash. You have to go full tilt all the way. Don't you? And a 4x4 too?
Mhm.
What leg you running 4x4?
Last.
Okay, you're the anchor?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the one that has to catch up the other guys, right?
Yeah.
You ever wait? You wait around for him to come around that bend and keep looking for him. Finally the third leg comes around. And,
Yeah.
and we used to see that at the track all the time. At state
Yeah.
track, you'd watch it, and they'd come around and on the final leg, and maybe over on the handoff on the. This is on the 4x1 usually, or maybe 4x4. 4x1 that has to be so good. Anyway, they drop the baton, and you have the anchor waiting over here, and the guy would never show up with the baton, and then so you see them all meet in the center of the field, and they were upset because obviously they didn't qualify to go on. But that was some of the things you could see up where we were.
Do you prefer to run that? Is that one of your better events?
Yeah, I like the 400.
What's your time?
53 is my best.
Really? Wow. What'd you do yesterday?
54.
Does the weather have much? Do you like it cool or do you like it warm?
I like it warm.
Warm. I think the distance people like it a little cooler. I think, and the sprinters I think like it warm because
Yeah.
it's easier to get your muscles going. Do you do all the other sports too? Okay. So what are you? What's your grade? So,
I'm a junior.
Okay. So you have another year then to be a Thunder Red.
And you one of the top runners in the league, time wise,
Probably.
probably.
So what, was your personal best this year or last year?
It was last year.
Okay.
Wow. So you have something to strive for this year again.
Yeah.
Do you feel pretty good though? Any track particularly you like to run on?
Not really.
There's different surfaces
Yeah.
and everything. And when you were running, were they cinder still? Track still cinder back then?
Cinder.
Dirt.
Most of them were still dirt.
They were?
Yeah. When I pole vaulted the pit, there was a little hole dug out, and they put about 2 inches of sand in it.
Sand.
You know, the idea wasn't to get over the bar; it was to land without hurting yourself too bad.
No, they didn't have those big pads for the high jump and pole
Right.
vault. You just came right down in the sand.
That's right. And lots of
Now
times
then-
you was off balance, and your feet would slide out from under you, and oh
Now
boy,
the pads come out and around the plant box so far, and
yeah,
I mean it's
it's a lot different now.
yeah,
Of course, they're going a lot higher than what we did back then.
a little bit easier.
Our
now that
poles
they got
didn't
their
have all that
poles.
flex. And
That's right.
What was your height?
What was the height?
I mean, what was the,
12
what
and
did
a
you
half
go?
foot.
Wow.
Where'd you go?
That was 12, I called it 12 and a half, was right in between. But that was a one-time deal. It was Beloit Relays.
Wow.
And things just worked good.
Peak performance.
Yeah, it sure is. That would be probably a 21 now, wouldn't it? 21 foot.
Right now, it'd be about a 21-inch vault.
Okay. So what's your? You like the sport? Any of the sports you like particularly?
Basketball.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see. Got anything else?
I just think
usually as seniors, that's what you're going to do. And you know what? Next year you got to graduate. You know what you're planning on
I want to go to Cloud County and play basketball.
Okay. They already talked to you a little bit about that?
No.
Okay, well, okay, Cloud County coach out there. Do they work through you too, ever? Or work?
I have had, as far as, see, I don't coach many boys as far as track
Sure,
is
right.
concerned, other than track, but I've had a couple coaches call me about, Monica Urok, for instance, in track, and had a couple of them call for basketball purposes. My own daughter once, and Kim Adams was another one, Claire Cole, just a few of them here and there where they actually contact me instead, but
Do you have any contact with Adidas or anything like
no.
No,
that? I tell you what a mess that is.
I made a mistake on that 12 foot. 11 foot is what it was.
11
back-
foot.
But it was still awfully high.
That is high for
Yeah,
landing
yeah,
in sand.
It sure is, yeah.
12, that'd been nice if I could have done that.
When you got to the top of the vaulto, did you ever?
Well, you'd plant the pole, then you climb
but
up and
when you were
jump
there
over.
though, I got to fall down. Did you think
You
that every time?
tried to get your feet underneath you because you just landed in sand
Yeah.
most of the time.
Well, that to me, that's the hardest thing in track is the vault because you have to do so many things right.
Oh, yeah,
Everything.
no doubt.
Have you ever tried vaulting?
No, we don't have it.
We haven't had the pole vault at our school. Man, I don't even remember when we got away with it. Well, I think one of the last pole vaulters I remember would have been Robert Rust, and he was 2 years older than I was.
No.
But I don't ever remember anybody pole vaulting after that. But the liability of it,
Yeah.
and we
And-
just didn't have the funds or the facility to
The
put
facility, I think, it's a big thing too.
sure,
Because
to put up all the padding and everything that I was saying earlier. So.
it's prom night. Okay, all right. Okay, it's Cameron.
Yep.
Okay, are you junior too?
Sophomore.
Sophomore. Okay, so you have 2 more years.
Yeah.
What do you do in the track, in the field?
I like to do long jump, 100, and 4x4.
Long jump. I still call it the broad jump. I don't know why. It goes way back there now. And what were the running ones?
100 and 4x4.
How's your 100 time?
Yesterday I ran a 12:30.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if that's my best time, but I don't know what my best time is.
Was it a good day yesterday? Did you feel what you were doing?
Yeah, I think I ran pretty good. It's pretty chilly though.
Do you like it warm too?
Yeah.
Too warm. What about the long jump? What did you do in the long jump?
I jumped pretty good yesterday. I got 18.4.
Wow.
I think that's my best.
Have you ever tried the triple jump?
I did last year. I
You
don't.
like that?
I think that's what I hurt my hip doing that last year. I think, and it kind of.
To me, that to know how to hop, skip, and jump. Again, that's the old thing. It's called the hop, skip, and jump.
Yeah.
They modernized it. Brought
Is
it
it
up to
pretty
date.
easy to get messed up on your steps on that? Should hop, you should have
Yeah,
skipped.
I don't think so.
I've
I
watched
think-
that, and I just how do they do that? I just don't know how you do the hop, skip, and jump. I don't know how that ever got in there because.
Well, the young people are a lot more intelligent now than back when
I think so.
we couldn't have figured that out.
Yeah, I can do the hop, and I can skip a little bit.
Well, I skipped quite a bit. It's
You
out
don't-
of school.
If you're a guy, you don't do too much skipping.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll buy that.
Anyway,
Well, I think there's something to it as far as just kind of being a natural at it.
Sure.
It's kind of hard to teach somebody
Yeah.
and be real successful at it. I think that's one of those events where if you're kind of a natural at picking it up, I think it's a little bit easier for you. Brandon, he did it a few years too, and man, that thing just tears the body up. It's
yeah,
about
I
as
know.
bad as throwing the javelin. So, but no, Cameron, we just need to work on his steps a little bit better in the long jump. He was kind of all over the place yesterday, but he did pop off a good one. I was talking to Coach Struckoff, and he said that he did have one that he scratched on that it was pushing 20, but we have to get him more consistent. So
what they used to call that? Crow
the crow
Crow
hop.
hop.
Crow hop, yeah.
Crow
That
hop
was when
and
you
javelin.
went by by the board, right? Is that what the crow hop was? What
You
was
talking about for the javelin? Throwing the
the
javelin.
long
it?
jump.
The long jump, there used to be something.
Broad jump.
They used to
Board.
call it crow hop.
Yeah.
step.
If
Oh,
you
really?
what, if your foot don't went in front of the board, is that what that was called? In other words, it
okay.
didn't co-op.
Yeah, then
Okay,
there's a
gotcha.
foul.
Old guys, you're talking.
I never heard
about.
that one, I guess.
You learned something.
I
The
did today.
co-op.
I better write that one
Don't co-op
down.
anymore.
Well, Guerrero holds his pretty young.
Okay. All right, 4x4, you say two?
Yeah.
Well, what leg you?
This first.
First?
Yeah.
So you get the lead, and then if the second and third legs maybe don't have it, then it comes around to Brandon and he takes it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you like to have the baton trailing, or do you like to have the baton to you first, so there's no one in front of you?
I kind of like trailing because then you run faster and you got to get it in your mind that you got to get in front of somebody. Because if you're first, then somebody can get you right at the last second because you think you got it.
Well, you have something. If you're out there by yourself, you don't know what's happening behind you. Unless but if someone's ahead of you, you got to have something to do, right?
Yeah.
To try to get by them. Okay. And do you like it? So you anticipate. What's your 4x4 time?
I ran a 55 at Smith Center,
You're split, but overall,
but overall,
Ran.
347.
this year 347.
Okay.
You ran a 341 with 2 years ago, right? There again, I mean, we were here for regionals that year, and we knew we had a shot at it, and I think we were just a couple hundredths of a second from going to state. We got fifth. And the interesting thing is once you get down there and you start looking at times and where you're at compared to everybody else, that time that we ran that day was actually 12th in the state.
Wow.
It was just the fact that our regional was stacked in that event.
That happens.
And I still think it's with technology, there's no reason why we can't take top 3 out of each regional and get us the 4 next best. Our goal is to get the best athletes to state for better competition.
And didn't they change? It used to be.
Well, they used to go top 3 and then the 2 next best
Yeah.
because they only had, it was a smaller track.
They didn't have.
They didn't have
put-
the 8 lanes.
They have 8 lanes at
Right. So
Wichita.
now that they have 8 lanes, we can go 16 competitors in each event. So we have 4 regionals. We'll just take the top 4. Now I understand you're going to have different weather in Colby this year than what you're going to have in the southeast part of the state. But when you take the top 3, we're still going to get the best ones there, I believe. I know there's going to be years when that's all wrong, and when they change to that, it's going to bust me.
Yeah.
You know, that's the year when I will have somebody go, and it's like, but I don't think it'll ever change. But I really think that that's one of the things that they really need to do. I just feel like that's what our goal is, to get the best ones to state,
I
and
remember,
that's one way of doing it.
remember the Cessna Stadium, though, they used to have 6 lanes or 7. And then they moved it, and the one year they were working on it, so they had the meets all over. They had the 1A, I think, was in Salina, and the 2A was in Wichita, and 3A was in El Dorado, and the 4A, it was spread around that one
didn't
year
realize that.
While they're making the 8th. And that was a pretty expensive deal because they had to go into the stands and take out some seating
Oh, I
because
see.
to make
Right.
8 lanes on the thing. Yeah, that's a good.
Well, I think it was 7 for a while because
Yeah.
I was thinking when I was a freshman it was 3 and taking the next 2.
You're right on that.
So
yeah.
then you got your 14.
Yeah. No.
But that was one of those years where I was on the bubble, and then I didn't make it in the javelin. So
Spent some years.
Way
in
back in the old days, they came to me the one year and says, "Gary, would you like to go to state? Was anybody else going?" Well, no, not really. I said, "Well, I don't want to go then." You know, it wasn't.
They have
It wasn't a
regionals,
big deal.
Yeah. I don't think they had regionals then. I don't even know how they did the.
Yeah.
I think, of course, now the association, it's really cut and dried on what you
right.
can do there. You get involved. What's your favorite?
Basketball.
Okay. So you played together pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Till
Can you
we go
two-hand
1-on-1.
dunk it?
On a good day, I could grab rim, but I can't dunk it.
That's a good start. That's a good start.
Okay. Anything else you have? I know you want to get ready for prom and everything, and you have to.
How do some young men grow up to be so handsome?
I know it's amazing.
Look at the smiles. That's what's really good.
You know, we're pretty blessed. You know, the wife and I, we were in foster care for a while, and Ray Boyd had these two guys living with him for a while, and she was starting to have some grandchildren at the time, and so then they was back in the system. So we had done respite for him a few times, but one day my wife woke up. We had him in our house there for a few months then, and she goes, "We need to adopt these guys and get them off the streets." And this was the first thing she says to me when she wakes up, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "Do you really want to do this?" Because my daughters were freshmen and junior at the time, and I said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And she goes, "Yeah, I think we need to do this." And I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" But it was,
I hope they know this story. Okay?
Yes, I think they do. But it was one of the best decisions that we had made. Not only for my wife and I, but also for my daughters. And I think it taught them a lot, you know, about how things can be and what they came to our house with and things like this. So, you know, it's really been good for us. It really has.
Speaking, they were fortunate to land with you.
Sure.
Well, I'm
Somebody like you.
There's days when they don't believe that.
No, I'm not joking around now. I'm serious about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how to work with young people.
Yeah, and it's been a blessing. It really has.
Yeah, that's great.
So-
Anything else for Darren or the boys? You have a good time tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just can't believe they talk so much.
My wife says it's because I won't be quiet. They don't get a chance.
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming over.
You bet.
With this morning and the weather and everything. I'm sorry you couldn't have had more of your on, but you know, safety and everything. And
Yep.
and when I called you, I said it was your call, not mine. I wasn't going to
Sure.
have you out there. So
Like I said, we had to trim hair up anyway,
Okay.
so we'd be ready for tonight because that's priority.
I have that hair trimming problem once in a while.
Me too.
Well, they have trouble finding it to trim. Is what
Oh,
they
okay.
do.
I won't say anything about a falling hair problem.
Okay, all right. You have, again, a good time. Good luck the rest of the track season.
Thank you.
And hope to see you down there in Wichita last weekend in May. That's great. Nothing like it. Have you ever been down there for the state track?
I went down the freshman year, but I didn't make it. I just went to see what it was like.
Nothing like it. It's the biggest track meet in the country because they have all the classes. A lot of other states go different places. And they tried here in Kansas to have maybe the bigger schools somewhere, maybe at Lawrence and the rest. But I mean, you have a chance to see the 6As, and they have a chance to see the 1As, which is really neat, I think.
Well, that's the great thing about it. You know, you can start comparing numbers, and some of the 1A times and
Right,
distances are just as good, if not better, as some of the big schools. You know, it just depends on how they all cycle in and out of the school years at those times.
In the team sports, the big schools, because they have so much more to choose
Right.
from.
That's
in
exactly right.
But in the individual sports like this, you know, you could have, when you look, a lot of the best records are made by 1 and 2A
Yeah,
girls
that's
and
right.
boys down there.
You know,
Becky
and-
Styles, for example. You know.
Sure. I remember that Northern Valley team, you know, back in '87. You know, they ran the table. Boy, they were stacked. I mean, of course, they won state in basketball, football, track that year. And I had the opportunity to run track with Travis Valine then at Kearney too.
Yeah,
So,
really? Wow, yeah.
just amazing athlete. So it was great.
Okay, we're good. Again, drive carefully getting back.
You bet.
Darren,
Thanks, Dad.
We appreciate you
Good
coming
to see you,
over.
Gary.
It was good to be around you, Mr.
You bet.
Darrell.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a good time tonight, too.
Thanks,
Okay,
Dave.
fine. Thanks, Darren. Okay, we're going to be talking, I think, with who are you getting at, Sandy or David?
Dave.
Okay. We're going to talk also then to Ken, a reminder that the Sports Talk brought to you every Saturday morning at this time by the First National Bank and Trust, proudly supporting Panther Athletics. Also, the Sunburst Realty, where you find the best homes under the sun. From the sales floor to your delivery doors, see Jim and Terry and all of Bovey Furniture and Appliance before they provide your gracious living for less. Professional Family Eye Care, where Dr. Juderman for all of your eye care needs. Coombs Trucking, you call, we haul. Wyman Firestone, tire sales and service back in the youth of Phillips County. And Biggs Insurance for all of your auto, home business, and farm insurance needs. If you're in one of these places, thank them for making it possible to talk to the coaches like we've been doing this morning. Okay, I called Keith Sides earlier this week, and I said, planning on Saturday morning? Well, he's at a basketball school, I think,
Yep.
in Kansas City.
Yep, he and Coach Miller are both there.
Okay, and then I said, what about next week? And he said, well, his sons are playing basketball somewhere. So I said, all right, either get one of your assistants, and I guess he called you and got us so David, you'd come in here. And I've known David for a long, long time, and we're going to talk about golf this morning.
That's right. Yep,
That's Mr. Heinman.
that's right.
Mr. Hyman.
Mr. Heinman.
No, actually, that's my dad.
I know. I know your dad extremely well.
Yeah. Yep.
Didn't I catch you one time out Osborne doing wheat harvest? Were you out there in the field that time doing the harvest reports in the Osborne area?
I definitely have a couple of times worked with my in-laws, the Spears family, and so you may have come to where we were at one
Okay,
point.
you're up high, you can look all around there and caught you when you're doing the harvesting, which I really enjoyed. Okay,
Yep.
what about golf? I haven't had a chance to talk to Keith for a while. How many meets have you had, David?
I think we've had 3 varsity tournaments, and had a lot of success at them. The team won all 3 that we've played so far. We were at Oberlin, and then it was Smith Center, and then Osborne. Yeah. So
Have you had any junior varsities yet, or the old varsity?
we have. So we've had one JV meet so far, and that was at Rooks County, between Plainville and Stockton there. And we just had 3 kids competing in that, and 2 of them it was their first time, and the other one his first year was last year. So, it's JV meet. I mean, that's the purpose is for them to get a lot of experience.
Keith said, that he had, 11 out?
I think we actually are up to 12 or 13
Okay,
now.
well, he was concerned because with 11, you couldn't have 2 teams,
Yeah.
six man. And what do they take, the top 4 now? Is that what most of the meets are? The top 4, you'd have 6, and the top 4 scores you take, is that or lower scores you take, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you take the 4 best scores out of your 6 kids that you can have on a team in a tournament, and those top 4 scores. I mean, whichever. Like you have a set order usually of this is your number 1 golfer, your number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we kind of do that based on scores in practice and stuff. And then, but in a golf meet, I mean, your number 6 guy could be your highest score, and in our case, I mean, our kids are kind of top 7 are pretty. We've got 7 pretty strong kids, and so it could be our number 6 or our number 5 that actually score the highest, and so you just take the top 4 scores from your 6 kids.
They used to take, go ahead.
Where you've played already, what's been the best course? Did you like Oberlin course?
Yeah, Oberlin's challenging, but it's not watered. I think Osborne's probably the most challenging one, and probably the nicest one we've played so far.
It goes along the river there, that's kind of nice, that's a nice course there.
A lot of trees, though.
Yeah, right.
Where Oberlin's out where the wind blows and the sun shines and not much
No.
else gets there.
Oberlin probably has more trees, but it's not as long as Osborne. Osborne has a couple holes that play pretty long.
Long holes. They had one that goes right along parallel to the river.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's several there,
Yeah, they have a par 3 where the blues you have to hit across the water.
Yeah.
Does that bother you at all?
No, I usually don't pay attention to I just try and block the water out, pretend it's not there, so that way I don't think about it.
There's a hole on the golf course in Hayes. It's a 3, and it goes over water. And there's a road that goes along right south of there, so you can get on the other side. And I never. They say, do you use when I tee off on that? And that's back when I was playing very badly. I always played bad. But I said, do you ever use a used ball because you got to hit water? I said, I don't know. I've never had a used ball because I've never had any. They all go in the water right away. So I would lay it up on the road up there and then come back, and so I wouldn't have to worry about the water. I never made it across the water.
I understand.
It's a
I'm just
psychological
curious,
thing.
that Kellerman kid there, he says, I try not to think about it. I try to block that out so it doesn't bother me. Well, if you're trying to block it out and think it has to be back there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I usually do pretty well at not hitting into water and bunkers. My biggest problem is not hitting the fairway. Always in the rough.
Okay.
Well, sometimes the ball sets up a little better for your next shot.
Yeah.
And so where do you go next?
We're supposed to go to Rooks County for the varsity tournament on Monday. There's a JV. The JV gets to go to Osborne with all those trees on Tuesday, and then Friday is Norton.
Okay. And that's, of course, that's a deep. There's a dog leg. Do you play the dog leg at Norton? Or do you lay it up and then come back? Or do you ever go over the trees?
No,
Some do.
yeah, I just don't want to risk it.
Yeah.
If I'm, yeah, no.
'Cause there's water on that hole too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
have
there's
that
the dog
one
leg and
pond
water.
and the whole creek bed that runs through.
That's 5 par. That's a 5, isn't it? Is that a 4 par? I don't know.
It's 4.
It might just be a
Four,
four
just a
because it's
four.
not super long. It's
Yeah.
just
Well, yeah,
It's
if you
just
lay it
tough,
up here and then
yeah.
come in,
Yeah.
you can do it on the green and two if you have two good shots. Some, I had seen people drive it on the green and one, but that's really
Yeah.
some a good golfer,
We're just lucky.
Yeah, more like because you have to go over the trees and at least there used to be trees, still trees there that you have to
Yeah.
go over. Okay.
What's your favorite course so far that you've played?
This year, or just total?
Ever.
I played Firekeeper. It's down by Casino near Topeka, and my dad has a friend that is like a manager at the casino, and so we got to play Firekeeper, and that's a really nice course. They have kind of a different grass. It's like Bermuda grass, maybe, and so you got to hit the ball first. That one or Independence last year for state was a really neat course. It was pretty nice, and it was extremely challenging. It may be one of the hardest courses I've ever played, but probably those two and Smoky
Smoky.
Hill.
that's-
Yeah,
that's-
that's always just a fun one to play. It's nice and challenging.
The bunkers bother you. We're talking JC now, and we're talking Tyler in a moment. But so you, the bunkers bother you? They put stuff out there to make it hard, don't they? They have rough, and they have sand, and they have water, and all that.
I try and stay out of the bunkers because we don't have any bunkers around here, and so it's difficult to hit out of them. And I don't particularly like bunkers.
How do you?
I don't know who does, but
how do
when I hit into them, it's rough.
How do you practice that if you go somewhere where they have that and you get in the sand?
Well, up at the driving range, they have kind of a
Oh, they do?
sand bunker,
Okay.
but it's not as realistic, I guess, as what most of the bunkers are. Like the nice ones at Smoky, and I don't know if I don't think Norton has any bunkers. But yeah, it's always just tough because it seems like I either barely make it out or
Yeah.
launch it across
Well,
the green.
And you can't put your club down.
Yeah.
You
Practice.
can't plant it
Yeah.
there because and so you got to. It's amazing you watch these pros do it and how they come out of it. They don't always do it.
No.
A lot of times they can do that. So
Does Dave ever give any coaching during the tournament? Or during the,
are you a scratch golfer?
No. Like he said, he tries to stay out of them and tries to avoid the trees. That's mostly what I find is the trees. But I mean, we can coach the kids. They've kind of changed the rules over the last couple of years, but now it's basically once they tee off, I mean, you can coach for the most part, until they're on the green. So you can talk about, get them thinking about distance, getting them thinking about, club selection, getting them thinking about the wind. I mean, just
So you can walk along with them. Now you couldn't. You
Yep.
couldn't go with them once they teed off.
Yep.
They were on their own. Right?
Yep. That's the way it kind of used to be, and at let's see, a couple of years ago, I believe it was kind of like you could talk to them from the green until the next tee box. You could kind of coach them up.
Sure.
But now it's basically from the tee box to the green. You can talk to them. So it's kind of the opposite. Or actually now it's kind of like really it's anywhere except kind of when they're, you know, on the tee box or on the green, basically.
And that, but why when you get on the green can't you? That's kind of strange because you'd think you'd be able to tell them to get better on anything, you know.
Yeah, I mean you can talk to them about, you know, a putt afterwards and stuff like that, but I think what they want to avoid is you like reading the putt for them
Oh,
and
okay.
saying, you know, this is going to break this way, or
Yeah.
you know, they want the kids. I mean, that's kind of, you know, we try to talk to the kids about that's where you save a lot of strokes is around the green,
Sure,
you know, the short game and on the green, and so they kind of want to avoid that.
Well, that's it's a little strange. I think coaching anytime would help, and maybe
Yeah.
on how to be reading the greens. I grew up on the sand green. You ever
Yeah.
play the sand green?
Osborne has that the north hill there. I've played that a time or two, and then I actually have a friend, college roommate down in Dighton, and we've played there a couple of times.
And that was level, and then first time I played on the sand, that's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not level, you know.
Yeah, and those sand greens are pretty forgiving. I mean, you can hit it pretty hard, or
Yeah.
First time I got on grass greens was at Holdridge, Nebraska. Well, I could go back and forth across. That was unreal. Unreal.
Do you remember what 9 used to be like out here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
9, I mean, it was like this. Did you ever play out here
When you go off the
9 was-
lip, it goes.
You had to hit into it. I mean, it was like this. You could putt 10 times on the thing. You know.
I know that the boys the boys when they went to Osborne this week. I mean, they were talking about the greens and they always are pretty fast, you know, and so they were talking about that this week, that the greens there in Osborne were pretty fast.
Yeah. And that has to do with how they're cut, or how much you're watered, or a combination, or what
Yep,
type
yep.
of grass is.
Yep, exactly. How they're cut and the amount of water, and then a lot of it has to do with pin placement as well, where they put the hole, you know, too. That's a big part of it too. So I mean, you can, you know, even no matter how real challenging the course is, you can make it a lot more tough with where you put your pins and what your greens are like too. So
What's your technique in the windy days? Does it bother you a bunch, or?
Yeah, wind is tough because sometimes it seems like you hit it and the wind doesn't hardly move the ball at all, and the next time you hit it and it blows it all the way across the fairway. And so it's a lot of times it's just kind of, you know, getting a feeling. Down at Osborne, you know, it was windy, but you couldn't feel it because it sits lower. But once your ball gets up into the air, it really could take a toll on it. And so you just gotta, I guess, go out on windy days. I mean, today is a little too windy, but
Might be a little cold. Does the ball go further when it's hot or cold?
hot.
When you hit it, hot. So
Yeah.
You like a hot day.
Yeah.
Get it out there.
Hot day with just a little bit of breeze, keep the air moving.
Are you a senior?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you going to do next year?
I'm going to go to Fort Hays and study pre-engineering and physics, and I'm going to see if I can walk on the golf team.
Okay, that's great. All right. So where's your regional this year?
we go to Norton, so it's
Okay.
not too far, and we get to see it this week. And
Okay, and then state is.
I believe it's Seneca.
Yeah.
Seneca is where it is
Seneca,
this
okay.
year for us.
Very good. All right, well, ready for prom?
Yeah, I guess.
It's on. Prom is on.
Yeah.
We got that word. It's going to be everything's like.
It's going to be different this year, but
Yeah, okay. All right. All right. Let's get Tyler on here a little bit. All right. You're a sophomore, right?
Yep.
All right. And you've been playing golf. Well, you understand last year you did well.
I did all right. One tournament.
Okay. I heard about that, and I kind of inside track on what your golf game is like because the producer here kind of lets you know what's going on. And of course, that's Tyler Martin. What's your favorite course?
So far this year, it was Osborne. Just really green. Fairways are always mowed nice. Favorite ever would probably be Omaha. They have a course called Iron Horse.
Wow.
It's really hard, but it's a really nice course.
If you ever wanted to play like Pebble Beach or anything like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
wouldn't it be something?
Just see what it's like.
We were in California one time, not playing, but we went to Pebble Beach. My son was a golfer. I'm low, and so we went out. We went, and what we did is we drove out the famous 18th hole. You could drive out, and we walked out there and watched some. It wasn't a tournament, just people playing. It was kind of neat there, watch them come into the hole there, you know, on 18. It's really. What's your? Do you like trees? I don't think any golfers like trees or any of the. They just like a straight fairway into the thing. So, what's your favorite? What do you feel your strength is? I guess is the question.
Right now would be my driver. I've been hitting it good,
You know.
usually straight. Then irons haven't been as well and chipping, so I've been really working on that.
Do you have a big head, one of those big head drivers?
Yeah,
Do you? You like that?
yeah.
Someone said they're harder to control, though. Is that right? The big head.
Well, they are for me. These guys do pretty good.
You hit, at least you have a better opportunity to hit the ball. Right, Dave?
Yeah, I still have trouble with that.
But
so-
anyway, you watch television like the Masters there, and on TV, the green doesn't, you can see some break in that, but it doesn't look that bad. But those guys go up there and look and figure, and I mean, a putt that far can break this far. Do you guys, how do you read the breaks and how do you play them?
I just
Do you have greens around that you play on that have a tremendous break?
our course has some like 2 and 4 have some pretty good breaks in it, and probably 3 as well. They got some spots where if you put the hole, it's got a nice break to it, and so you just go out there and you just got to practice reading the greens. I mean, a lot of golf is just practice, practice, practice.
And do you hold you see them doing holding a club up like that? Does that help?
I don't know. I've never
You've seen them though, haven't you?
Yeah.
They get behind and look, and then they ask the caddy something, and then they go back over here and they walk over and look and pick up a couple of grass things, and then, you know.
Yeah, I don't know what that does for them. Maybe it'll help. I don't know.
Tyler, you played golf. You played golf for a long time.
Yep.
How'd you get started?
Well, I just remember from like my grandma's house, my dad would have his clubs with him, so I just asked if I could go hit. So I just go. She had like a really long field beside her that was just grass, so I just go out there and start hitting away.
Did you start out with little clubs, or did you start out with big clubs? Little clubs? You know. They didn't used to, back again when I was your age and younger, about 8 or 9, my uncle they were wood, all the shafts were wood then. They weren't aluminum, they were wood. And he had some old clubs, he just sawed them off and put some wrap around. That's how you couldn't get them for kids then. That's the 40s. You know. And things that's
He's grown through 3 sets of
3
clubs.
sets of clubs. So, what's your favorite club to use?
My driver.
Driver?
Yeah.
This is a big head driver.
Yeah.
That makes it easier to hit the ball.
But they always told me it's harder to control though. I mean, you get more momentum on it, but it's harder to control.
Yep.
Are they allowed so many clubs, like 1, 2s, and 3s, and then irons, or what are they allowed?
Yep. I mean,
14
You're
clubs
allowed.
total.
You can have 14 drivers, but you're just allowed 14 clubs.
yeah, they could all be whatever. I mean, like he said, they could all be drivers. but
Really?
Just 14. I mean,
There's 14 clubs, and you've got 3 putters in there if you
Yep.
wanted, but then you'd have to only have 11 other clubs in there.
Yep.
What's your favorite iron?
7-iron maybe, right in between the biggest iron and the shortest.
Do you ever use it? Do you have a 3 or 4 iron in your bag?
I've never had a 3 or 4
Okay.
iron.
I never could understand the purpose
have
of
like a hybrid.
2 iron. It didn't make sense to me. Why not use a driver or something, or a 2 wood or something?
Years ago here, there was no guy that had an adjustable head club, and maybe you remember seeing him.
Is that legal?
Yeah.
He's going to make an adjust pitch and stuff. And
Yeah.
I always thought that's crazy. That's
yeah,
crazy. But
nowadays, a lot of the bigger clubs, like the drivers, do have adjustable heads.
Do they?
Really? Wow.
Like where you can kind of close the club, or you can open it up if you if like for example mine. I mean, if you tend to slice, you want to close your club a little bit more. So mine's been Mine's been permanently set to the closed section, and still doesn't always work, but you can do that.
Did you ever hit one down the highway? Down here?
I've been there a couple times. Yeah.
I have, and again, I haven't played in a long time because I really got bad. But we used to on number one. You go down there, you know, and I'd be lying 2 at the quality corner on number one, you know.
Yep. Or in the hotel parking lot.
Yeah,
Or yep.
And I've been coming up that road too, and I've had some come at me down there.
You know, every once in a while you'll hear somebody bang it off the side of a car coming up the highway.
You know, it's,
Not these guys though.
no.
Not these guys.
Do you play a lot in the summertime, Tyler?
Yeah, I go out almost every day.
Do you like mornings? When you like? Does it make any difference?
Mornings are pretty nice. It's just the hard part's waking up to go out and do it.
Do you go stop at 9 holes or do you go on and play?
On a good day, I'll probably go 18 at least.
You know, it's amazing. Golf, both my boys were a lot better. In fact, I've told this, I think, before. When I'd be working and my boys would want to go golf, and they'd ask their mother, they'd say, when's Dad's going to get home? And she said, we're around 5:30. I said, hurry up, let's get out of here. They wanted to get out there before I went out and played with them because I slowed their game down considerably. I was always in the wrong fairway or the wrong distance. They didn't like playing with me at all because of the fact that I slowed them down. Let's get out of here.
Now, I'm just too curious about you two guys. Now, be honest, you know, there's a railroad track along the north side of that. Do you ever hit any out there, or do you just go look, see if you can find any balls somebody else hit out there?
I do pretty good about not getting into the railroad tracks. When I was younger, I used to hit a lot over there. But yeah, you can find a lot of balls if you just go down walking through there. You find a lot of, especially after like the Coors tournament or the Ron Juneman tournament. You go out there, you just find a ton of them.
Yeah, you have a south wind blowing stuff. You get up there and you correct for it, and you think you did.
Here's another story I've got to tell. To get back when my boys were playing in high school, they'd have a big tournament out here. They call it reaching, and they would go out Sunday night after the tournament, and on 7th, what's water on 7? Where it goes is on 7 or
6 and 7.
7, 6 and 7.
7.
Okay, they used to go out at night on a Sunday night and reach. They would reach into that terrible water. And they would come home with 15 or 20 brand new balls, you know. I don't know whether it's legal or not, but they would do that. But that water was terrible, you know, and I don't know how it is now, if it's cleaned up a little bit. But the water from the Tampa runs through there.
Yeah. I don't.
Pretty gross.
You know, it used to be you'd see some snakes out there, but after that water started getting cruddy, they just disappeared.
I haven't seen a
I haven't
snake.
seen one this year at least. Last year, one scared Sharon.
I don't know how we got from golf to snakes, but
Yeah. Hard to tell. Yeah. I've seen them.
What ball do you use? What kind?
It depends. I like Callaway and Nike. Titleist too, Pro V1s. They're nice balls.
There's a difference in golf balls. What makes the difference? The way they're wound, or they're harder?
Usually it's what's ever on the inside, the rubber they make them out of. Some are softer, they'll spin more. Some are harder and they'll go farther.
Okay.
It just depends on what you like.
Tyler, what do you use?
I usually use a Callaway or Titleist.
I think my boys got the cheapest that they could find. How much are golf balls now? Are they pretty expensive?
Expensive. Like,
Yeah, I mean you can get some cheap ones you can get a pack of, nitros for $10. You get like a pack of 40.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. If it's that
Titleist
many,
for
but-
like 9 or 12, it's like $45.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in the city where they have these driving? What do they call them? I know Kansas City has several.
Golf?
What do they call?
Is it Top Golf?
Yeah, where you go in and you just drive and drive, and they have a bunch of little places. You have a party out there. And have you ever played those?
I've never played
Look
Top
like
Golf.
it's
I
kind of a
wanted
neat
to.
thing to do, you know. It's more of a social thing, I think, and a golf thing, you know. And
Yeah, I've had some friends do it, but I've never done that before. But
they have a nice one in Kansas City,
Yeah.
you know. You drive by there and you're watching.
Dave's probably old enough. You remember the penfold balls? They were a little smaller than the rest of them.
I don't think I do.
I think they probably wouldn't be legal for a tournament, but boy, you could knock those things a long ways.
Huh.
Does the dippling, does that make a difference on what the dipples on them? I guess they call them dipples still. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
does that make a difference?
Yeah, I don't know. Bridgestone, they have like, their dimples are different than like a Titleist. They got, I don't know, the Bridgestone ones are weird. I have some Bridgestone balls I used last tournament, and they did, fine. But I don't quite know how the dimples affect the ball flight and stuff.
Okay, how have you done this year?
I've
This
done
year.
pretty better than last year for sure.
I heard you started out pretty good last year.
Yep, and then it kind of went downhill.
I've got to ask this. Is there such thing as the yips in golf? You know what I'm talking about? The yips?
Like the shanks a little
huh?
bit, or
Yeah, you get
or
to
you get
thinking
nervous,
too much about your
thinking.
game.
My
Yips.
uncle says that when when I'm putting,
Yeah.
if I like hit it really hard,
Yeah.
he said I got the yips.
Yeah, okay.
You know, they're getting where they water well, everything more. Do you ever have any problem out on, like this course out here, out in the fairway when it's hard? You know, do you still try to take a little divot with the shot, or do you just try to pick it off the top?
You gotta, out here on like the buffalo grass, especially when it's hot, you just gotta take ball first. Because if you hit the ground, you club, but you just don't hit the ball well if you hit the ground first.
You play out here and you get a lot of roll. But you go where they have bluegrass or something, you don't get much of a roll. You know, if you hit it, that's why I was like Buffalo, because most of mine rolled all the way down. Maybe hit it 10 yards and the rest was rolled.
I know you start talking about how far it rolls, and they both start smiling big. So they know what you're talking about.
Okay. Did I ask you what's your favorite course? Did I ask? Okay. Yeah, so anything else you have?
No, it's just always enjoyable to visit with somebody that's knowledgeable about golf.
Okay. Well, I had to ask you though this about, because I looked for a sides. I think the Smith Center tournament, and I didn't see it. And then he was at Hill City for track.
Yes.
How do you determine who? Do you end wrestle to see if he goes to golf or track? How do you handle that?
I think so far he's kind of made that decision. But like, for example, the kids can play in 8 tournaments. They can play in 8 tournaments.
Okay.
So like, and we kind of have. At the moment, we kind of have 7 golfers that we consider.
So it's a little,
kind
that's
of
a
varsity.
management thing, isn't
So
it?
they all have to, and we have 9 tournaments, so they all have to sit out one.
Okay,
anyway.
all right.
So that's kind of what he's done so far. But yeah, he's trying to do both, and obviously he's pretty talented at both. And,
Yeah. Okay.
so-
Well, and like you said, it gives you a chance to one will go here and one will go there and
Yep.
everything. So.
Yep, and he, regionals. I mean, I think golf is on a Monday, a regional. I think our regional's on a Monday,
Yeah,
golf,
States
and
on
then
Tuesday.
track would be on a Friday.
Sure.
And same thing with states on a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday and
Tracks Friday,
Saturday.
Saturday. So that shouldn't bother that at all.
that takes a lot of management. Anything
Yeah.
else?
Nothing here. I just be nice to be that young again, starting over playing golf, wouldn't it?
They're fun to play with. They're fun to watch, fun to play with. They do. I mean, like I said, our entire team. I mean, it's a good group of kids, and then some of them been playing golf for quite a bit, and they're a good group of kids. And
When you watch some of the
Oh.
backswing, the swing so long.
Yeah.
wish I could hit it half as far as some of these
Wow.
guys. Yeah.
It's amazing how they drive.
Yeah.
Can I tell one more golf story on me? And then, can I do that? Okay. On number 1 out here, when you tee off on number 2, there's that round brick cistern. You know what I'm talking about to the right. Well, this is one of the times I caught up with my boys, and they let, yeah, you can play with his dad. So I teed off, and I really sliced it. It hit that cistern, came right back at me. I had to hit the thing, and I was about 50 yards up one fairway, lying 2 for for the second hole there. Have you ever seen anything like that happen?
Oh yeah, you're hitting further than where you were.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, way behind
Yeah.
the tee box there. Yeah, that's the kind of golf where I was. Yeah. And that was a good shot.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. I appreciate
Yes.
you coming in, David, and you two coming in on a. It was a iffy deal for yesterday, but it didn't really develop with much snow. If it snowed more, it would have been more of a problem. I do appreciate you coming in. Okay, thank you.
problem. Enjoyed it.
And have a good rest of the year there. Well, I'm sure we'll have you on again talking about what's going on.
Kellerman's height with long arms, he should be
Oh,
able to hit that ball a bunch.
Yeah, they can.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Andy Canny very patiently waiting over there for us. We're going to have him on in a moment. The program brought to you by all your friends at Farmers State Bank in Phillipsburg. We're interested again in a moment. You're under the door, interest in you. Remember FDIC. Bates and Miller, saw what you make, but what you keep. Mid-America Real Estate, providing the best homes in the area for over 40 years. The blossoms and butterflies, making beautiful flowers a part of your life. Sign Solutions, your one-stop sign shop. So much more. Madison Motors in business for over 70 years. And Rogers Associates, your local trusted choice agency. And Andy Canny is joining us, the athletic director and also resident coach at Phillipsburg. Thanks, I appreciate you waiting over there.
No problem, Ted.
Usually there's other people to talk to over there, so could you get on the phone and do some things while you're over there?
Yeah, I was. I was checking some social media, so weather and all that.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh, no problem.
And we didn't know yesterday what was going to happen, and I called Andy this morning. I always hate calling anyone before 8 in the morning because I'm afraid I'm going to wake him up on a Saturday morning, especially. Well, Andy was up.
Well,
I was
young
up.
people, you can call them.
I don't know how long.
I've been up for about 30 minutes before you called.
Okay.
So.
So we want him on, and the reason why, Andy, is because the people have selected who's going to be on the Hall of Fame this year. Let's talk a little bit about that. Out Phillipsburg High School.
Right. This year we got 4 new applicants this year for the Wall of Fame. So we had a few more to look through this year with the committee, and it came down to there was 4 of them we were looking at pretty hard. It's always a tough decision.
Oh, yeah.
You know how that is, Tad, and we really had to just relook at a lot of them and kind of, see, because there are a lot of quality, athletes that have gone through here, and not just athletically. What did they do for the community? What did they do for the school? What kind of character did they have? You look at those traits too. And it was kind of tough. So this year, it was voted on that the 2018 inductees are Bill Wugazer, class of 1991, which Billy was a senior when I was a freshman. So I remember watching Billy run. And, he was a phenomenal cross-country track star. He also played basketball at Phillipsburg. And then he went on to K-State and did really well in cross-country there. That's when K-State was Big 8. So, so he was academic Big 8 for 4 years, qualified for nationals his senior year. Did a great job there, and he did indoor-outdoor track in 1993 there, so before he left. So, and then our second one is Mackenzie Wyman, which is Mackenzie Chris now. Mackenzie was a great all-around athlete at the school, volleyball, basketball, track, plus she was also a pacer. She was one of those girls that lettered all 4 years in four sports. And then she went on and played volleyball at Fort Hays State, and had a phenomenal, time there. Was a MIAA All-Conference a couple years, and she won the Tiger Award there that they give out to seniors. So now she's living in Wichita, her and her husband. So it was.
Go ahead.
It's fun to look back at those people, and there's so many quality people to look at. So
It's fun. It's hard. As you mentioned on the committee, I was there on there, I think, a couple years anyway. because you look at these and and last year we decided to only have 2 a year.
Right,
And
yes.
At that time, I think we could have maybe more, I think.
Yeah, the first 2 years we inducted 5 the first year and then 5 the second year, and then from here on out we're just looking at 2.
Because, and there were a lot of, it's tough because they're all, where's Billy live now?
Billy is living in Manhattan now.
Okay. all
Yeah.
right. I'd like to have them, figure out a way to get them on this, it's a Sunday night, so you go get that, the 29th, right?
Yes.
At the Panther Booster Club.
Yeah, I think-
banquet.
is that the
That's Sunday.
30th
Is that
or-
the 29th?
It's the last Sunday in yeah, that would be the 29th, 6
29th.
o'clock.
Yeah, and so that's when they'll get that, and I'll probably get you. I'd like to see if we can get them both in here. If they come in a little early, like to maybe get them on here. If not, maybe we could do a set up somewhere and do it, and that's all up. I impose on Rachel an awful lot. I said, can you do this? Can you do that? You know, and maybe we could do that and then have them on that next, or something. Maybe work out something on that, or if they even be in town that weekend, come on and be on Saturday morning.
Right.
We'll work on that. So
Yeah.
I'd like to have, one way or another, we'll probably get them. And so what does Billy do? What's he doing now?
I believe he's working at K-State.
Okay.
John Wyman has been in contact with him. So John talks to him more than I do
Sure.
on certain things because John sent in the application for Bill. So he was in contact with Bill. And when I called Bill on the phone, and he said he's going to try to make it down here for the athletic banquet.
Okay.
And Mackenzie was also the same way.
Sure.
So
Okay, we'll work on that.
yeah, they're going to try to be here.
Yeah, I remember both of them. And Billy, didn't he at State do well in the 800 and the 16?
Yeah,
and
his
32?
senior year, he won 15 consecutive races in cross country, won the cross country state title, and then in track, he won league and regionals at the 800 mile and 2 mile, and then when he gets down to state, he's just going to make the trifecta and win them all 3. So,
Wow.
he was an incredible runner. He was really close to John Mason's time,
Mm-hmm.
4:20 time in the mile. So, and his 2 miles exceptional time too. So, he was quite the runner.
And he never looked, he just was easy. He never looked like he was really laboring or anything. He would just get out and run,
Yeah, he was in very good shape. All right, when people ask me, and I said I remember watching him. He looked like a deer when he was out there running. He just go. So.
You remember?
Some people just have the ability. You don't know where it comes from, but
Right.
Tad and I couldn't do that.
I get, no, yeah.
Depending on how big the plate of food was, whether Tad would get there or not.
How's everything else going? How did the meet go on Thursday?
The junior high meet went really well. We you get the right people to work the jobs, and we have exceptional people that help us out, whether it be for volleyball, basketball, wrestling, whatever, and track. We always have a lot of compliments on how we run our track meets because it's smooth and it's fast and we get it going, and everybody does a great job. The volunteering their time to come in and be an official and a helper and stuff like that. And as long as the timing system works great, the rain events go really fast. So it doesn't matter how many times you go through it, something might happen and you just got to go with it. So it was a really good one.
And watched a bunch of that. And it just amazed me how fast some of them 8th grade boys are nowadays.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have everything. You got the distance runs, the mile, and the girls, and 3 or 4 of them finish, and then you sit there and wait for the next one to finish the last lap.
Yeah.
They've been lapped before they got to the finish line. But they all have an opportunity, and that's good.
Right. And
But some of the performances just boggled my mind.
yeah, the kids are getting faster. Plus, they've added more events to junior high track now. They throw the javelin now. The girls don't throw softball anymore. It's the javelin throw. And they've opened up the 2 mile to the 7th graders so they can run the 2 mile now. They added a 200 hurdles to get them used to the 300 intermediates in high school. So you know, they've added some events, and they still got the 4x2, which in high school you don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
But so it gives more kids more opportunity, and when you have over 60 kids out for junior high and high school, you know, in Phillipsburg, it's kind of nice to get those kids.
So how was it high school after? Was it supposed to be Thursday too, or is that?
No, that's
your
next
invitation?
week.
Okay,
Yeah.
next week. So
On the 20th.
It amazed me, the buses and the vehicles parked out there, they were parked everywhere.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of people there to watch that track meet.
Yeah, the junior high track meet, everybody comes out and supports those kids, which
Watch
is
the
great.
kids, yeah.
do they have it in the morning because then that opens up for the afternoon practice? Is that why the middle school has it in the morning? or-
Well, it's basically you got 4 teams there. So
Okay,
if you
yeah.
if you don't start it
Yeah,
at 10, if
that
you
makes
started
sense.
at 3, you'd be there till midnight.
Yeah, right.
So,
That makes sense.
Yeah, junior high always starts usually around 9 to 10 o'clock.
Okay, so 7 because they have 7th graders and 8th grader boys and girls. for
Yes,
example.
yeah.
I know Bill Schick. I wanted on Thursday morning on a tadpole. He said, "I get it out of here because I have to go out and help the meet, you know."
Yeah.
And you mentioned I have always had real good comments on how the meet is run here with all your good, and you couldn't do it without a volunteer.
No, you know, and that's everybody, you know, tells us, hey, you know, you guys ran a great meet, but you know, us administrators and athletic directors do things, you know, the setup, but without those great helpers,
Sure.
you know, they're the ones that keep the meet running smooth, and you don't have to worry about it.
If I remember correctly, it was the girls' 7th grade, 8th grade mile,
Mm-hmm.
and they ran around really good, and the little gal trudging along at the tail end, you know, the others went across the finish line, and she went to start her last lap, and she ran her last lap. And a lot of those other girls went along and encouraged her, said, "Keep running and stuff." And
Yeah.
I thought that was all by herself.
Yeah.
And everybody was just, it's just like when she crossed the finish line, she'd won the race.
Right.
And that's just really says something.
Yeah, the kids support each other whether they're from the same town or not, especially in distance races. You know, you see it a lot of the time in high school where they'll wait till the last person's done,
Yeah.
and then, you know, they'll congratulate everybody that walks across. And junior high is starting to do that too, so it's kind of fun to watch.
You know, they used to say that a girl wasn't capable of in high school running a mile. And then they find out that the girls now down in junior high, well, they just can't do that now. They just that the body can't handle all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing how that has evolved.
Yeah, the mindset is a different thing nowadays. Yeah,
Sure.
you're right.
Sure is. Well, the school year about out. It's been a good year.
Yeah, it's just running fast. The month of April is always crazy because the seniors' last full day is usually May 1st. You know, May 1st and 2nd, and it's go at track and golf, and you know, just the end of the year stuff.
Is it a problem with seniors graduate? They still have 2 or 3 weeks if they're athletes doing
Right,
stuff.
right.
Is that on figuring out how to keep them coming out and everything? Because someone maybe want to go get a job or something. Is that much of a problem? You know, between graduation and state track or graduation state golf? Or,
No, you know, not so much. I haven't seen it here recently in the last, you know, 10, 12 years. It hasn't been that big of a problem. You know, because it seems like the time is going up and they're getting out of school earlier and we're
Right,
starting
yeah.
earlier.
Yeah,
Because when I was in school, you know, we didn't start till almost the end of August, and we were all the way there until regional time of track.
Right, yeah.
So, but with the change, you know, the kids still come in, they still have track practice at normal time. So they can work in the morning if they want to and stuff like that. So it hasn't really affected it.
I was down at state track meet with Tad a number of times, but this one time, the weather got really bad. It was really looking dark and tornado-y, and they got everybody in under the. And where was Tad? He was out there doing a play-by-play on the storm. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So what are you doing out here? We're supposed to be on the weekend.
Probably ought to get in under the bleachers stuff.
Oh, there was some great state track to me as the ultimate in sports.
Right.
You know? I mean, basketball. I went down to the basketball tournament in Phillipsburg, played for the championship, and that's great. But to me, all those athletes and the crowd, and it's really a special.
Yeah, it
special
is.
time.
I've been down there a few times, to watch the kids, and I competed down there as an alternate one year in high school, and
Oh, the
it's
relay team?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's amazing to. It's kind of a shock and awe,
It
You
is.
try to prepare a kid for when they go to a state event because it's a lot bigger. But track, it's like, how do you compare that with anything that you ever go to? So it's fun to watch. Yeah.
You get all the athletes. There's all the events. 16 or 17 events, I think. I don't know what and boys and girls, and 16 athletes in each, and preliminaries, and then all the people. And it was always amazing when they'd have the preliminaries for the 1, 2, 3, 8. There were always a lot more there than for the 4, 5, and 6 days.
Right.
Because it's just out here, you're closer together and
Right.
everything. You know what's going on. Supports there. Yeah, it was a great experience there. So, well, anything else for Andy? I appreciate you waiting to come on, but I wanted to talk about the
Yeah.
2 Hall of Famers and someone asked me, where do you have the pictures out there, or what when they make Hall of Fame?
Down by the office, we have a big sign that says Wall of Fame, and it's all on that back wall. So when you come down the stairs to go to
Okay.
the main office, they're all right there.
Right, but there's auxiliary gym kind of there.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And we're working on some things to make either a flip kiosk. I've looked at digital kiosks to kind of put off to the side so people can go over, because it's kind of hard to read when you got all those accomplishments and you try to put them on a plaque. It's hard to read and they're up kind of high. So we're working on some different things as a committee to try to make it more fan friendly, and we're talking about possibly sending out postcards to remind people, because I think I can get on the radio and I could talk about it and I could put it on social media and this and that, but we as human beings, we get so busy we kind of forget about
yeah,
things,
right.
and that deadline came, April 1st was here, and I take them from the beginning of school to the 1st of April, and I only had 4. People tell me, oh, there's all these great athletes, and which is great. I need somebody to nominate
Sure,
them.
yeah.
I don't mind doing the grunt work and filling out all the stuff. I just need you to nominate them. So I have that paperwork up there. It's on our school website. So I'd love for people to come out and, and pick up an application and to sign it back up.
Okay,
So.
very good. Well, you have a good rest of the school year.
All right.
And I'll be at state track this year, do you think?
I'm hoping.
Okay.
I'm hoping. Our track athletes are doing pretty well.
For the
So
regional.
we are going to Beloit.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
I asked JB to come on today too, and he's at a football school in Nebraska. I
They
think.
went to Lincoln yesterday. They were supposed to come back last night, so it was going to be pretty late.
Yeah.
So I think they made it back okay. Him and
the
Fiscus.
weather could be
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks
Yeah.
a lot, Andy.
All right,
Great-
thank
great
you.
stuff.
There's
Thanks,
a bunch
Mr.
of
Bills.
solar folks who really appreciate all the effort and time you
Yeah.
spend getting the youth, young people and letting the people outside the school know what's going on.
Yeah, thank you.
do really good.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you.
well, thanks for coming in this morning.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
It was iffy yesterday. We didn't know. I kept texting Rachel back and forth, called her, what are you going to do? And I said, what time do you get up? She told me, but she texted me at 7:30 this morning, said, what are we going to do? Well, something like that. And I said, well, Darren Grauholz had already called me and said that he would be over. So I think, and I think it quit snowing. I don't think we got the snow here like they anticipated.
Apparently not. But it just amazed me that I was out that junior high track meet the other day, though. The people that were there. I mean, the fans and parents and this and that. And the way it ran really smooth and quick. It was excellent. And I enjoyed watching even that little gal that had to run the lap while the other was running around encouraging her, go ahead and finish. Go
Well,
ahead
the
and finish.
thing of it is, you do what you can. It's a personal thing, and you do it.
That's right.
One other reminder: some of the other sponsors include Phillips County Health Systems, Olive Bovey Memorial Chapel, Stephen E. Rush, your State Farm agent, Sonic Drive-In. Like us for the Facebook to see their Sonic deals. Phillipsburg Chamber and Main Street, where the roads are paved with opportunity. Farmers and Ranchers Outlet and J&R IVAC are.
And it's always the people behind the scenes that makes things
Right,
really
yeah, I
work.
always thank Rachel.
Thanks, Rachel.
I kept, what are you going to do, Rachel, about something? She keeps me pretty honest.
How did you ever learn to do that? I've never.
No, we get busy. We have a lot of things going on, and I kind of worry maybe Rachel has somewhere she has to be, but we go on and on. The other Thursday morning we were there 2 hours, but Mitch Holt was on, and that was really interesting. And I know what I was going to mention. They're supposed to, I don't know, I hadn't heard anything about, they had a big day scheduled for today for the Home on the Range in Smith Center, but they had to cancel the golf tournament because of weather. And I was supposed to still have the things at night and everything, but anyway, so anything else? How
No,
you doing?
it's always enjoyable to be able to be here with you and listen to the coaches and the young people do it, and look at Rachel with her smiling all the time over there. It just makes it complete.
Okay, and she is the director and producer of the show every Thursdays.
I'd have never guessed that.
Okay. We'll see you next Thursday morning on the Tadpole. We have another big day planned for that, and then we'll be here next Saturday. Hopefully, JB will be able to come back on, and we'll maybe have some more golf people here or something, and we'll try to get another one of the area schools on. And we apologize for the weather that we couldn't get more Kensington athletes on, or Thunder Ridge athletes on today. See, I still think of Kensington, but it's Thunder Ridge.
But you was talking about kicking the ball out into the railroad tracks and stuff. We can recall all kinds of things like that a lot of people didn't get to see and everything. But with our travels and stuff we did and our officiating and stuff, we saw things that stick in our minds, and it's good to be able to kind of have coaches come up that can remember some of those things.
All right, very good. We'll see you next Thursday morning, 9 o'clock, Tadpole, next Saturday morning back here. The bakery, Third Street Bakery, and again, they make it possible for us to do this every Saturday morning. And our athletes and the coaches, they kind of get there's a freebie things that come along with that. Okay, are you ready for us to wrap it up now, Rachel? Okay.
You have a great smile,
All
Rachel.
right. Again, we'll see you, and thanks for joining us.